So welcome everyone. This is a topic that is truly near and dear to my heart. Metabolism is the #1 issue that I found when working with my new clients from a successful weight loss standpoint. They've struggled, a lot of them, for decades, not being able to lose weight, and it all goes back to the metabolism. So this is a really, really important topic. Have you ever struggled to lose weight or lost weight only to gain it all back again in a matter of 6 months? If you have, you know exactly how frustrating this situation can be. Well, we're here to change that pattern for good. The program that you're currently on or considering is the Shaklee 180 program. It's already setting you up for incredible success, and we're going to be talking about why that is in just a minute. So whether you're, get rid of these guys so I can see my text. Whether you're beginning your weight loss journey, dealing with a weight loss plateau, or you've already reached your weight loss goal, taking your metabolism into consideration is critical for your long-term success. We certainly don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot after all the hard work we've done. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about the top 10 metabolism boosters. There are actually many, but I chose what I felt were the most important ones here, and we'll cover those tonight. And we'll also talk about the implementation strategies that you can put to use right away. So what is metabolism? Well, this according to Harvard Health. Metabolism, or metabolic rate, is defined as the series of chemical reactions in a living organism that create and break down energy necessary for life. More simply, it's the rate at which your body expends energy or burns calories. So actually, your metabolism equals the amount of calories that you burn. So we're going to talk about the top metabolism boosters, and I'm going to give you some basic information and add some science in with it. I'm going to try not to get too science geeky on you, but I will provide a few extra resources. If you want to check them out later, we'll put those in the chat box at the end. So the first one we're going to talk about is we want to increase our lean muscle mass. Lean muscle increases our ability to burn calories, and lean muscle burns 3 times as many calories as fat. The more lean muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is. So the strategy here is you're already off to a great start. The Shaklee 180 program is unique in that it incorporates appropriate levels of the amino acid leucine, ensuring that you maintain all of your lean muscle mass and lose only that unwanted fat. You also have the Metabolic Boost tablets, which help your metabolism stay revving and going strong. All you have to do is follow the program. Now, if you want to look into more about the 180 program, this is referencing Wayne Westcott, who did some Shaklee studies in conjunction with Shaklee at Quincy College, important studies around protein and leucine and the amount of exercise that's appropriate. So if you want to delve into this a little further, the link is going to be here. We're going to put it in the chat box at the end. And you'll be able to actually get some information on the leucine as well. So metabolism booster number 2, we're going to power up with protein. Now you're going to see a lot of crossovers here as we go through on these different points. So kind of keep those in the back of your mind. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the end. So protein is going to increase satiety, and it's going to keep you full longer. Certainly we don't want to be hungry when we're doing a weight loss program, so that's important. It helps increase our metabolic rate, increases lean muscle. There's that one of those crossovers. And then a note here, for people over the age of 50, your needs for protein actually increase. High protein, high leucine diets offer improvement in insulin sensitivity. Dr. Steve Cheney, author of the Slaying the Food Myth, this was in his book, and we've been very blessed to have Dr. Cheney do some presentations for us here with the Wellness Project. And if you'd like to delve into this a little bit more, speak to the person who invited you, and they'll be able to hook you up with those presentations by Dr. Cheney. And of course, the strategy here around protein is we're going to have 2 Shaklee Life Shakes per day, 1 for breakfast, and you choose one for either lunch or dinner. Depending on what your day looks like, it may be easier to have your shake at lunch. Some may prefer to do it at dinner time. And then, of course, you can substitute one of the Shaklee 180 meal bars for one of those shakes. And then, of course, we're going to fill in mid-morning and mid-afternoon with healthy snacks. One mid-morning, one mid-afternoon. And really consider the Shaklee 180 snack bars and snack crisps. With the snack bars, we have crunchy peanut butter, we have toffee chocolate crunch, cherry and almond, and chocolate and coconut. And I can tell you they are delicious. With the snack crisps, we have sea salt and barbecue. Those are also wonderful as well. Just to note, the meal bars, we have peanut butter chocolate chip, blueberry almond crisp, and white chocolate cinnamon. So metabolism booster number 3, we're going to ensure plenty of fuel. And this is where we run into trouble. If we're not getting enough food, our bodies go into what we call starvation mode. Starvation mode triggers our body to hold on to that fat. And certainly we don't want to do that. And your body's number one goal is to keep you alive. Now, back years and years ago, we went through periods of famine and we had to save up. Our body had to save up that fuel to get us through those periods of famine. We certainly don't want to do that today, especially when we're on a weight loss program. Reducing your calories too far ensures that your body will have plenty of fat for the rainy day and days and days and days. So this is a diagram of what I call the vicious diet cycle. This diagram was around during the Cinch days, basically the same program, just a different name. So I just want to call your attention here if we're looking at the circle in the upper right-hand corner where it says diet. Most diets, or people that go on diets, drastically reduce their calories. Their bodies go into a famine response. It's a response that your body says, I'm going into famine and I'm going to hold on to that fat for my ever-loving life, truly. And then what happens, it's not sustainable to decrease your calories so much. So naturally, they're going to fall off. And what happens when you fall off a diet because of that? You go into feast mode. You're going to want to eat everything in sight. And then this whole cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. The average American who's dieting goes on 4 to 5 different diets every year. And what happens during this period of time is that you've reduced your metabolic rate, you've lost all your muscles, so your metabolism is tanked, and then you regain all of that weight that you worked so hard to lose, and it's all come back as fat. So this is certainly not a situation we want to get into, but the Shaklee 180 program helps to prevent any of this happening. So the strategy again is we want to determine a healthy calorie intake and learn what that looks like for you. And you're going to have to maybe work with this for a while to see, where you're at as far as your hunger, your satiety. The person who invited you can give you a good place to start, and then you can kind of work from there. And we want to adopt a gratitude mindset. We are all so busy these days. We really need to slow down and give thanks. And a part of that is eating intuitively and intentionally. I encourage you to check out this. I'll put this link in the chat box at the end, but this is a wonderful video on YouTube by Emily Rosen. Emily and Mark David are the owners of the Institute for Psychology of Eating, and I had the pleasure of studying with them. But she talks about the metabolic power of awareness. And awareness is just presence. It means that we're being awake to a single activity that's happening at that very moment. And when we bring awareness to eating, it creates the perfect environment for our metabolism. When we eat intentionally with presence, we're beginning that cephalic phase of digestive response. And it's also called the head phase of digestion. And this is when you start thinking about the food as you smell it, your mouth starts watering and the saliva starts being produced, and you've got all of those wonderful digestive enzymes happening. But 30 to 40% of total digestion actually is due to this cephalic phase of digestion. So take a couple minutes as you sit down for a meal, before meals or snacks, and just be present. Notice the smells and the visual splendor of the food. And as you eat, observe the flavors and the textures. Your body will respond with better and more complete digestion, better nutrient absorption, and your body will actually recognize the fact that you've eaten. And this is a big deal. I had a client years ago who went to a family reunion, and unfortunately she forgot to prepare, and all that was available to eat were hot dogs and potato chips. And she said, Debbie, when I got done, I was so hungry. She said, I felt like I didn't even eat. Well, her body didn't register at first because she was probably busy at the time that she ate it, which is fine. But she also wasn't getting nutrient-dense food. And the body actually has to take in those wonderful nutrients in order to recognize the fact that we've eaten. So metabolism booster number 4. We're going to even things out with green matcha tea, the Shaklee 180 energizing tea in matcha green flavor, just the plain, or you can get it in pomegranate. I call it liquid oomph. It's just enough caffeine to give you a little boost, about, as much as in a small cup of coffee. But it also contains the amino acid taurine, and I call it the effect. So you're getting a little boost from the caffeine, but you're also getting that I love sitting and just relaxing with a cup of my 180 tea. So the strategy here is you're just going to drink 1 to 2 cups per day. Metabolism booster number 5, we want to get our Z's. We want to sleep. Lack of sleep or quality sleep kills our metabolism. It disrupts our blood sugar regulation, and it really increases our cravings. I don't know if you've ever noticed at night, if you get up and you've gotten 4 or 5 hours of sleep and you're ravenous, you just can't wait to get food in you. It's really setting us up for a disaster. So get your 7 to 8 hours and make sure that you keep your metabolism revving. Now, there are all kinds of strategies around sleep. Probably the most important items to consider would be stress, stress, and stress. And oh, did I mention stress? Stress is a big part of all of these different metabolic boosters. So I would really encourage you to look into stress relieving techniques and find a couple that are right for you. Maybe doing some intentional breathing, maybe some massage, whatever works for you. But it's important that we get rid of the stress for the health of our metabolism. And we want to live life as much as we can in the natural rhythm of the seasons. The farmers actually got this one right. Now, we can't all do this, but just do as much as you can. I mean, the farmers get up with the chickens and go to bed with the sun, right? Well, we, of course, can get up early. And actually, there's a lot of science around now about getting out in the sun first thing in the morning and getting 5 to 10 minutes of real good sun. Boosts the vitamin D and really sets that circadian rhythm. And then at night, we want to make sure that we're establishing a great bedtime routine, keep it consistent each night, turn off all your electrics at least 2 hours before bed. And that comes back to the whole farmer thing. Even though we can't go to bed always, with the sun, we can turn off all those electrics that actually wreak havoc on our circadian rhythms. Metabolism booster number 6, we want to clean up our environment. And this is one that we don't often talk about. Our personal toxic burden overwhelms the liver, causing it to become sluggish. And you'll see why that's important in a minute. Xenoestrogens are synthetic estrogen mimickers that are 1,000 times more powerful than human estrogen. Exposure to these chemicals can cause estrogen dominance. And that's not just in ladies, that's also in the guys. Which leads to all kinds of health problems, including weight gain. These chemicals are also called obesogens. Years ago, we talked in Shaklee, I don't know, some of you may have heard this, about the chemical calorie and the work of Dr. Paula Bailey Hamilton. This was from an interview that Russ Mason did with her in 2002, but he references Dr. Bailey Hamilton has devised the concept of a chemical calorie, an estimated value of the degree of damage caused by a chemical to the body's natural weight loss system. She posits that detoxification and other health-promoting activities can enable people to lose the excess weight And no diet will really ever work without detoxification. And this is something that we've talked about around the 7-day healthy cleanse. Great, great tool to get that liver going again. So the strategies: eat organically and eliminate all artificial ingredients in food as much as you can. Avoid overhandling of store receipts. They contain the BPA. And use of foods in aluminum cans with BPA liners. And there are a lot of companies today that have gotten rid of that BPA, and that's important. We want to get rid of plastics, toxic household and personal care products. And we have in Shaklee the solutions here. Talk with the person who invited you. They'll be able to hook you up with the non-toxic household products that will cover everything that you need for your household care, and is also with your personal care products. And of course, we want to avoid pesticides, herbicides, and solvents. So the next one would be number 7, we want to balance our gut. This is a really big one, and the more science moves forward, the more we're learning about why this is so very important. An unbalanced gut microbiome is a disaster waiting to happen when it comes to weight loss. Dysbiosis, which is an imbalance in the microbiome, sets up an inflammatory situation. It sets us up for a very slow metabolism. Significant weight loss will not occur until this situation is corrected. And I can attest to this personally. This is exactly what I went through 12, 13 years ago. And I've had many clients as well. So the more work we can do on the gut, the better. Strategies: eliminate sugar, simple carbs, processed foods, add fresh, whole, nutrient-dense foods. Again, reduce stress. Stress wreaks havoc on the gut. All right, metabolism booster number 8. We're going to make friends with our mitochondria. I call this the M&M, metabolism and mitochondria, because they go hand in hand. So what are mitochondria? What do they have to do with weight and metabolism? The mitochondria are the foundation of a strong metabolism. You best make friends with them and keep them happy. When your mitochondria are not efficient in making cellular energy, your metabolism slows down and weight loss starts to happen. I think I may have said that wrong. Weight loss or weight gain starts to happen. When we're talking about our metabolism, we're actually talking about the mitochondria. The mitochondria are little energy factories that combine the food that we eat with the oxygen that we breathe, and it converts it to energy. And as you may have heard, that energy is called ATP. This energy supports every function in the body and fuels every cell. There are more than 100,000 trillion mitochondria in the body. Tells you how important they are. They're very sensitive and easily damaged. So damage occurs with uncontrolled oxidative stress. This is like the rust that happens on your car. An example with food would be a browning apple, how it turns brown as it sits there. Environmental toxins are incredibly bad, but an unhealthy diet does the most damage. So eating too much sugar, highly processed oils, we want to make sure that we're getting rid of as much of that as we can. Signs of damage to the mitochondria would be low energy, fatigue, pain, memory loss, rapid aging, and most importantly for this topic, weight gain. When mitochondria are not properly working properly, our metabolism runs less efficiently and effectively just slows down. So strategies: we're going to avoid the environmental toxins, allergens, and stress again. Unhealthy foods are the biggest cause of damage to the mitochondria. Avoid processed foods, anti-nutrients, overeating is a big one, and sugar. And most importantly, load up on antioxidants. Metabolism booster number 9, we're going to talk about how to optimize the nutrition for your mitochondria, and we want to make sure we're getting our healthy fats. So the first one, and this is all, I want you to know, this is all based on science. Functional medicine docs are using these exact nutrients. There was one other one that I left off here because it was a little tricky to explain, but for the most part, these are going to be your nutrients that are going to support your mitochondria. You've got your coenzyme Q10, which in Shaklee version is CoQ Heart. N-acetylcysteine, we talk about that quite a bit. It's the precursor to glutathione, which is our master antioxidant. That's the big guy, so we want to make sure we're supporting that. Present in Vitalizer and Life Strips. And of course, we have resveratrol. We know in Shaklee that our product is much more powerful in many ways than just resveratrol alone. The product's name is Vivix. And magnesium is super important. We've got VitalMag or chewable CalMag. B-complex, very, very important. Make sure you're getting a solid B-complex. If you're going to the grocery store or you're going to the drugstore, chances are you're not getting the whole spectrum of those B vitamins. They're going to leave out those expensive parts and they're going to include the cheap ones. But they need to work synergistically in the right amount. So make sure that you're getting a solid one. And we do have one of those in Shaklee. And then of course we want to make sure that we're getting a healthy fats. And we talk a lot about omega-3 fats for mitochondria. And that would be Omega Guard. And lastly, but certainly not least, alpha lipoic acid present in Shaklee's glucose regulating complex. So the strategy here, I would strongly suggest that you talk to the person who invited you to the series here, creating a personal plan for wellness and supporting your mighty mitochondria. So the last one, Metabolism Booster number 10, we're going to love our liver and embrace the 7-day healthy cleanse. The health of our liver is foundational for the metabolism and for the mitochondria. Much of our metabolism depends on the health of our liver. What better reason to embrace the 7-day healthy cleanse? Alan Christensen has a new book out. This is what he says about liver and weight loss. What happens in the liver is unhealthy. What happens when the liver is unhealthy, you tend to store fuel as fat, especially around the midsection, and you can no longer tap into the nutrients you need to burn fat. This means that no matter which diet you choose and how hard you try, weight loss is pretty much impossible. Sound familiar to anyone? I know that was the case for me. So again, our liver is incredibly important. Strategies, we're going to reduce our chemical burden to improve the performance of the liver. We're going to consider repeating the cleanse every 6 months on your weight loss path. If you hit a plateau and it's been 6 months since your last cleanse, consider repeating it again to get things moving. So just in wrapping up here, I talked about the crossovers with all of these different strategies, how the mechanisms overlapped and some of the strategies for implementation. This all seems to be a lot of information, but when you consider that when we improve one tiny facet of health, you're actually naturally improving all areas of health. It doesn't become so overwhelming. So if we can just take on a couple of these things, gradually we can keep adding, and we're going to be building health along the way. Knowing how all of this comes together is huge for long-term success. I know you can do it. You got it. So I recommend revisiting this information periodically as you travel along your weight loss journey. The recording will be available in the Wellness Center for your convenience, probably tomorrow or the next day. And just talk to the person that invited you if you don't have access.